All right, we got some exciting breaking news that has just come through on our end here. High Seas spoilers dropped. We got 3 new heroes, we got their hero powers, and we got their names. Let's talk about it a little bit. So right out the gate, High Seas is looking to be quite exciting. We have 3 classes that got revealed. We have Mech, Ranger, and a brand new one as Necromancer. Now, I feel like a lot of people, as they were predicting and kind of speculating for the set, that there was going to be these 3 classes in particular. We kind of knew that there was going to be a Ranger. Necromancer was highly expected. And then I think Mech was starting to become kind of speculated, just given the state of the meta and how little support Mech has gotten recently. But these 3 heroes are super interesting. All their mechanics have a new keyword symbol that is just like an eclipse circle that we've never seen before. And a lot of their abilities revolve around gold or creating some alternative thing at this point that we don't quite know what it is. So the Ranger is creating a golden harpoon, Mechs are creating the golden cog, and then Necromancers have something to do with this new keyword called Watery Grave, and as we presume can generate allies given this fact that it's a Necromancer, and that's kind of like their whole thing. But we're going to be seeing more with alternative resource or maybe more onboard permanents that you can interact with. Now, what do we think this circle symbol is? I think pretty generally it can be presumed that this is going to be some kind of tapping or exhausting mechanic. So whether it be you're going to exhaust your hero or you're going to have some alternative onboard resource like an ally that you can tap to utilize an effect, which kind of got revealed also by 3 spoiler cards that came out that I don't know if they were supposed to, but we saw some Necromancer cards that stated specifically they would get some alternative effect if you were to tap an ally or to tap some resource in addition to the normal card's resource or cost. So right out the gate, we have a lot of new things to speculate on. We have brand new mechanics. So how can we look at these things and think, what card should I pick up? You know, what card should I assess that could be pretty good, especially if I have interest in playing Necromancer, Mech, or Ranger. So right out the gate, if you want to play Necromancer, you got to pick up Call to the Grave. I think that this card, I had been speculating for a while that we should buy it while it's cheap, and I think it stabilized yesterday or on the release day of the announcement that it got up to like $50. It went from $15 to $50. So now might not be the best time to buy it, but given Rosetta's print run and how high demand a lot of the cards are in that set, I wouldn't be surprised if the card continued to go up, and if Necromancer ends up being meta or really good, Call to the Grave could end up becoming a $60, $70, $80 card. I do think 50 is a little bit on the high end now, but still you have to have that card if you're looking to play Necromancer. If you want to play the Rangers, pick up Codex, obviously Codex of Frailty. I definitely get New Horizon. I think that New Horizon could be very good in this new hero, given the fact that you'll get to double load arrows or be able to fill up your arsenal and have additional spaces open. So New Horizon I think is going to be a very good card. Chain Reaction also can be speculated to be pretty good. Although there aren't too many interactions currently in the game with Chain Reaction, I would speculate there's going to be a lot of new cards that are going to interact with it. In addition to cards like 3 of a Kind, any kind of drawing cards I think is going to be a pretty big deal looking forward here. And then we have any kind of crank mechanics for the Mech. Cerebellum Processor comes to mind, Tekla Foundry Heart, Heist, Twin Drive, you know, just all like the general Mech staples I think would be worthwhile to pick up. Given that the Golden Cog and the hero ability is going to be interacting with Crank in some manner, I think that they're probably going to start moving in that direction. Things like No Time Zone that we have seen as well all seem to be revolving around this Crank mechanic. So I would definitely look into picking up any of those staples. And then if you're playing Assassin, Anaphylactic Shock saw a pretty big spike in spec yesterday. A card that was pretty unassuming when it came out to be seeming pretty useless now I think makes a lot more sense because of the fact that it says hero and allies that have dealt damage. So if there is a Necromancer and they have a bunch of little dudes on the board that inflict 1 damage and they have 1 health, you have a board wipe now that you can just blow up their whole board with this trap. So if you play Assassin, I'd pick it up now while it's cheap. It was like a 50-cent card. Now I think it's all climbing up to like $2 or $3. So no better time than now to pick them up. And then we also have generics like Wage Gold. But another thing that I would definitely consider is if you sold them or you don't have them yet, please pick up Balance of Justice and hold the line. I think we're going to see a return to a lot more draw mechanics in the game, especially with Ranger, with Death Dealer, 3 of a Kind. Necromancer is built into the text with having a draw, like a looting mechanic where you're drawing and discarding. And then also, they're all going to be utilizing gold, and gold has the text itself where if you pitch for it, you can draw a card. So I'd be very prepared to have these cards back into your sideboards and back into your deck, because I think that drawing is going to become a much more prevalent mechanic in the game. So please pick up those cards as well. And then on the note for Codex, I understand that Codex of Frailty is very expensive right now. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they end up reprinting Codex of Frailty in this set, much like how they did with Command and Conquer in Hunted. At the time, CNC is still right now like sitting around 80 or 75, but that's better than where it was when it was like around 100. I wouldn't be shocked if they did that now, especially with Outsiders limited print run. It's really starting to evaporate now. It's getting much more difficult to pick up those cards at a reasonable price, especially with Trench now going up. Flick Knives went crazy expensive. I do think it'd be very reasonable. I don't know if we're going to see an alt art of Codex, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's going to be a reprint. So please hold off on buying your Codex of Frailties right now. They're already peaking past $100. I think it's very reasonable to assess that they will be doing a reprint of that card. So in addition, some ulterior buffs or like other things to keep in mind with what we know. Brutes could potentially have a buff with item destruction, having smashing performance and arc smash in their arsenal. If we do see mechs start to become more prevalent in the metagame, those cards will be very good at controlling them. In addition to more onboard permanents, if we are going to be seeing more heroes interacting with onboard items or permanents or semi-permanents that stay on the board, any kind of item destruction could be very good. So I would keep that in mind. But also in transition to that, talking about mechs, they're kind of in an interesting place right now, given the fact that we lost High Octane, which was across the board kind of the crux of a lot of the powered plays that mechs had access to. They've kind of lost a lot of their raw power. So I think in one way that is a little difficult in the short term, but in the long term, now we're going to be able to start seeing more individualized archetypes developed between the classes and the different heroes. So for example, Max is getting the Armory deck that's going to expand on his wrench mechanics, presumably from what it looks like, and kind of play more into the construct mechanoid that he'll have as more of his identity. So looking at what is going to be coming for Puffin, the new mech, I think we're going to see more individualized mech mechanics that come out for her that are going to be more aligned with things like onboard permanents that we have Dash.io with the semi-permanents. So it's a little bit more difficult to estimate what we can expect, but I would start to suspect that all the other mechs are going to get additional support from this as well, and we're going to start seeing more individualized identity that starts to develop between all of them. In addition to that, ninjas, I think Mask of Momentum could see a recurrence as well, with the fact that if there's going to be a prevalent necromancer that's going to have onboard allies, you're going to be able to maintain your card value, much like Dromai, where you were able to clear board state and then also be able to keep drawing cards. So in turn, maybe this is going to buff Katsu. Who knows? Maybe Katsu will come back into the meta, given the fact that with Kodachis, and you'll be able to trigger all of your on-hit effects with the allies. I don't know. Maybe this is Brian Gottlieb's big plan to make Katsu relevant again, let alone potentially create some new cards in the set. So I would not count ninjas out of this meta yet. I still think Mask of Momentum is going to be very relevant as we move into the next meta with Necromancer. And then who knows, maybe even we could see Olympia finally find some payoff for all that gold that he creates. Given a whole set that seems to be based around gold, I assume there's going to be more payoffs, there's going to be more development of that mechanic, and maybe we'll finally see Olympia find a foothold in the meta and get some additional support, which would be hilarious. So I would love to see Olympia and Katsu kind of crawl their way out from D, E, F tier, wherever they're at now, and get some additional support so that they can be prevalent again in the meta, or for Olympia's case, be relevant for the first time ever. So I think along with that, the last thing I would kind of ponder is I think Necromancer could potentially have Arcane as a viable mechanic in the deck. Why I guess this is because we have Arcane Lantern, which is very, very Necromancer coded in the artwork. So I'm kind of specking on that. But in addition to that, we kind of also get some a little bit more inference from LSS Direct. In Hunted, some of the expansion slot cards we got were Enchanted Quiver, and then we also got the new mech arms that have AB and Spell Void built into them. Both of these are classes that are ironically going to be in the next set, right? So we're going to have a new ranger and a mech, and then they also coincidentally got more arcane support, or more arcane prevention support. So I think that that's pretty reasonable guess to speculate that Necromancer will be developing further into Arcane. In addition to that, right, like Assassin got their full Widow suite of Arcane. So LSS is still trying to build out other classes' answers to Arcane damage. And I think in turn that will allow them to have more play with Arcane damage in the game and not feel as uncomfortable with having that across the board. Because as we see right now, the only classes that can manipulate or utilize Arcane are Runeblades and Wizards, right? So I think it's pretty reasonable to speculate that Necromancer may also have the ability and have access to Arcane damage, so just keep that in mind. And then the last card that I'm kind of thinking that I haven't really seen yet, it probably is caught on by the time this video has come out, but definitely pick up Cut Through the Facade. For one, obviously, the artwork is literally a pirate killing like a Necromancer of some kind, but also if Necromancer is going to be utilizing auras, is going to have auras in their hand, or be able to target and kill aura allies or things like that, I think it's a very, very reasonable card to pick up now, kind of like an Erase Face or a Weakest Link, and have that in your deck, because I do think that it is going to be very relevant as we move forward into the next set. So these are just some of my initial thoughts for the set coming forward. Some cards you should look out for, some cards you should definitely pick up. And I'm really excited to see as we start getting more information, more spoilers, to get a more flexed idea of what we're going to be expecting here, right? I think Necromancer has been highly anticipated for a long time. Flesh and Blood has yet to see a super big expansion of board state decks outside of Illusionist. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that and how they're going to kind of combine what seems to be like a graveyard management mechanic, so somewhat Shadow Runeblade-esque like Chain, and then also combine that with board state allies like Illusionists. So I'm very excited to see what that's going to develop. I'm very excited to see Mech start to get some more identity and start to develop itself as an individualized class among the heroes as archetypes rather than just kind of like a blanket card pool that everyone has access to. And then Ranger, of course, might be the biggest mystery at this point. Ranger has been super prevalent, but recently has kind of fallen to the wayside where all we've really had is Azalea, and then kind of Riptide now starting to make a resurgence. So I think all those heroes are going to get very strong, and there's going to be some crazy support across the board that is going to really reinvent the class or reinvigorate what it's capable of doing. So keep your eyes out. I definitely will be. We'll continue to make update videos as we get more news, and we'll continue to speculate on what to purchase or what you should just be ready to play against if you're not even going to be playing one of these new heroes and you still want to make sure that you're prepared with your favorite hero or class that you're currently playing. So I'm Sam Dando. If you enjoy this, please leave a comment, please leave a like. If you didn't, that's all good too. Please leave some criticism or critique, and I'd be happy to try to improve. But although we're going to have some time off, I suspect, before some more spoilers come out. As soon as they do, we'll be ready to report on it at that time. So thank you guys. We love you. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace out.